Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. On today's episode, I wanted to introduce you to the newest addition to the channel and to the fleet, my 1995 Honda Acty Attack. I'll talk about why I bought it. We'll do a post-purchase inspection and try and figure out what's going to need addressed on it right away, and then just give a brief overview of the truck, why I bought it, and what my plans are going forward to it. So yeah, might as well get right into it. It's a 1995 Honda Acty Attack, and if you're not super familiar with the Honda Actys, they obviously met the Japanese like K standard for their reduced insurance or tax rate over there. But now that they're 25 years old, you've obviously probably seen quite a lot of them around because they are becoming more and more popular here in the States. But I ended up going with the Acty model. Obviously, there's like the Subaru Sandbar, the Daihatsu Hijet, Mitsubishi Minicab. There's a bunch of options. They all have their different pros and cons. Seems like the Actys are super popular in my area, so I kind of went with that because it was easier to find, and then also like parts availability for them I think is pretty good. But I got the Attack model, so if you're not familiar with the Actys, the Attack model, basically there's the SDX, which you can get in two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and then there's the Attack model, which is full-time all-wheel drive or full-time four-wheel drive, but it also has a locking center differential. The SDX models are 5 speeds. The Attack is a 4-speed, but it also has an ultra-low forward and reverse gear, which actually has been super handy. I'm not gonna lie, I've actually used it quite a bit. So I guess that kind of leads right into why I purchased it. And I had been looking at getting a side-by-side because I live on 30 acres and I just thought it would be handy to have doing projects around the property or whatever. And if you looked at side-by-sides recently, any used side-by-side that is in the same price point of these is pretty old and pretty beat. To buy a new side-by-side is like insane, like $20,000, $30,000 now, depending on what specs. And I think the crazy off-road ones can even go north of that. But I just felt like for the money, these were the better deal. And if you're not doing crazy off-road stuff, they can more or less do the same stuff. And I don't think there's a piece of equipment on our property that gets used more than this. It basically gets driven every single day, doing something, driving from the house to our chicken coop, to whatever, feed and water their chickens. We used it in the wintertime for collecting maple syrup. I've actually started using it to move firewood too. Like typically I would just move logs out of the forest using the forks on my tractor, but I honestly found it like easier to just drive this to the edge of wherever I'm cutting and just cut the logs into rounds in the forest and throw them in the bed. And it's like actually way more efficient than putting them on the forks in the tractor. And technically this has a weight capacity of 350 kilograms. So times that by 2.2 to get to pounds, whatever that is. I definitely have completely overloaded that, putting a full load of green maple in the bed, which is probably, I don't know, maybe 1,500 pounds. And it handled it like a champ. It was kind of in a low valley that I had to go up this like muddy hill on. So I used that ultra low first gear and had no problem whatsoever. So that's kind of why I bought it, what I've used it for so far. And I mean, that's pretty much, I think, going forward. I mean, I also take it to go to the dump, which is honestly super handy. I like having the lower bed than higher, like my F-350, like the bed is super tall, and even the Tacoma. It's just nice having a bed that's like at waist level. It's just so much easier to load. And honestly, this bed is actually bigger than like most modern trucks. It's I think like 6.2 or 6.3 feet, something like that. But yeah, I've definitely used every bit of that to move stuff around. Unfortunately, I guess the one weird thing about this car is it's probably not a car to have if you're an introvert like me, because it gets more attention than any vehicle I've ever owned. Every single time I go to a gas station or stop somewhere, someone comes up and wants to talk about it, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. But most of the time, obviously, it's more than willing to talk about it. So I guess that's kind of why I bought it, overview of what it is. But I guess we'll just do a walk around the exterior of it, and then I'll figure out some way possibly to get it on the lift and then look at everything underneath. There are a few things that I have found just in the time that I've been using it that need addressed. All right, so we'll just do a walk around of the exterior. So I was told that the Attack models get used a little bit harder than the SDXs just because typically they're used on farms, which maybe or maybe not is true or whatever. Like this one definitely has had a lot of touch-up jobs over the years, which is just like brushed on white paint. So it's not perfect, but it definitely serves its purpose. There's no like major, huge cosmetic flaws with it. But yeah, your pretty massive 6.2, 6.3 foot bed, super handy. Comes with the bed liner. I think this is the original one, but a lot of people will just make new ones out of Harbor Freight Tractor Supply horse stalls. So I'll probably do that. The bed is pretty beat up under this, so it definitely needs to get painted at some point, which will probably be a winter project. But yeah, it's definitely kind of cool seeing all the old like Japanese stickers on them too. So whenever I do paint it, I'm going to try and leave all of that stuff. I actually have a new decal set for it because a lot of the decals are starting to flake on it, but obviously you can see the corrosion on them. These are known for having rust problems. The most common rust place on them is the door sill, which yeah, mine's pretty solid, but they can rust there. And then also under the seats too. I'm not going to be able to show that on camera, but where the spring perches are, it can also rust. This one is solid there. Obviously the interior is pretty bargain basement on them. Mine is the Attack, so it has the ultra low, ultra rear, or ultra low first, ultra low reverse, and that's for the bed light. This is actually the locking center differential, which works. The heat works amazing in this. Mine's a non-AC model. You can get them with AC. Obviously, where I live, it was just simpler to get it without AC. It was one less thing to work with. I guess that's one other thing I use this for I didn't mention in the intro is actually plug in like a 12 volt pump and use it to water, irrigate stuff around the property. I have like a 22 gallon water tank that goes in the back. So yeah, the interior is definitely pretty simple. It is kind of cool seeing some of the old Japanese stuff in it. When I first got it, I was like just looking around under the seats or whatever because I'm the first owner of it in the States. I'm not sure if I left it in here, but there was a Japanese newspaper somewhere. I might have taken it out. Oh, I think it's in here. Yeah, that's so cool to see. It's also so cool that like some of the stuff like ends up being in the cab, like the water fluid tank. And I'm pretty sure the radiator fill is in here. This is another one of the rust areas on them, so something to look out for if you're purchasing one. Mine's not perfect, but it's at least everything is still solid on them. To figure out how to lower that. I think that's pretty much everything on the exterior. As far as stuff that I've noticed wrong with it before, the motor mounts are definitely bad because it vibrates pretty good at startup. And when I first got it, it was actually like it would stall when I was stopping at stoplights. But I ran some liquid moly like fuel system cleaner through it. And I think it was probably just the old gas in it because once I ran a few tanks through it, it actually has been running great. So yeah, I'm going to try and jerry rig some way to get this up on the lift. If not, I guess I'll be crawling under it on jack stands. So it may not look solid on the lift, but I promise you it is. I think I probably could use a 2-inch extension instead of my 6-inch extension, and then it would sit level. So I'll probably just go ahead and order a set of those through BenPack because it would be definitely handy in the future, just doing oil changes and stuff to be able to put it up. But I mean, this thing is super solid. There's zero play in any of the front suspension components. These bushings here are a little cracked, but like there's like zero flex in them. I do have a rattle. I'll play a clip of me driving down a hill off road, but there is a rattle in the front, which the person I bought it from said that they all do that. Just trying to see if any of the spring perches look like the bushings are gone or whatever, which looks all right. I'll put in a clip up close of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised how like locked in everything in the front end seems. It does feel sometimes like there's some play in the suspension and maybe or steering, and that's what I can feel clunking. I guess this ball joint here, that boot is cracked, but I don't feel any play. So possibly tie rod ends eventually. But yeah, the front end overall looks pretty good. Doesn't look like the diff is leaking at all. Let's move to the back. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but surprisingly it actually has a decent amount of brake life. And then moving backwards, obviously the front diff is super dry. And overall, like there's a little bit of surface corrosion, but the rust isn't actually as bad as I kind of feared getting in under here. Yeah, I think like 2-inch extensions on this would work much better. Obviously, I kind of didn't do what I envisioned with that mud flap bending in. So hopefully I didn't do any long-lasting damage to that. Should straighten out. Here's the tiny little fuel tank. And moving backwards. So the person I bought this from said they changed the oil, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say that definitely was not changed. Or at least if they did, they didn't change the filter. When they imported it from Japan, you can see this motor mount is toast. I do have motor mounts already. Yeah, unfortunately, like over here by the battery, it looks like maybe it leaks some acid or whatever because there's a little bit more corrosion. So I'll just go ahead and make sure I get that undercoated ASAP. Axle boots look good. Honestly, I have no idea what this component is. Here's the actual transmission and differential are connected. So I have fluid for this. I have fluid for the front diff. I'm actually like confused now though, because looks like this is the drain for the diff. I wonder if that's yeah, I guess that's like the engine sump. Wow, that's interesting. Probably should actually look in the manual before I go doing that. I thought it would be a little bit more obvious. But yeah, that's definitely the engine drain plug. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like that motor mount. Oh, never mind. That's just the cover for it. For whatever reason, this back corner is a little crusty. Maybe, I don't know if acid leaked out of the battery or that's just a common area for spray. But yeah, overall, I mean, it looks pretty damn good. So I already checked the rear end here as far as there's no play in any of the bearings. The exhaust, which I was told was changed, looks like pretty new. I don't know, maybe. So I went ahead and pulled the bed liner out of it. So now let's get this engine cover off and see what we find under there. You can definitely see, hopefully, what I was talking about as far as the bed definitely could use a refinishing, which I'll do. These are on pretty loose. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Alright. So here's your tiny little 660cc 3-cylinder. Definitely looks pretty easy to do. Valve cover and spark plugs on it. Luckily the engine looks pretty dry. See, one of our friends decided to make a home here last winter, unwelcomed. Yeah, not really seeing anything alarming up here. I mean, vacuum lines actually all look pretty good on mine. A lot of times you see pictures of people, they have all the new, like, I don't know what the word is for like the nylon or neoprene new vacuum lines, but I'm not gonna mess with it. They look fine. I think these are actually how you bleed the coolant on it, being mid-engined. All right, next thing I want to do is pull the timing cover and take a look at the timing belt to see what it looks like. This rear wheel, which is actually how you get to the timing belt. All right, so I got the serpentine belt cover off, but it looks like the timing belt cover will not come off without pulling that motor mount, unfortunately. So I guess I'm probably going to end this video here, and next video I'll start, since I'm replacing the motor mounts anyways. I'll just go ahead and pull that motor mount and then look at the timing belt. Although I'm kind of just going to assume that it's going to need a timing belt, because the serpentine belt obviously is pretty dead. And I'm guessing probably the most likely point you would change the serpentine belt is when you're doing the timing belt, since you have to take this off to get to the timing. But all things considered, it is pretty easy to access this stuff. Everything you need is kind of front and center in front of you. So yeah, I was really hoping that I could get to that just to take a look at it. And then also they give you an inspection cover for the serpentine belt. I wish they gave you one for the timing belt. I thought this was going to be one, but it ended up just being for that bolt. I guess you could maybe pull that bolt and then get a bar scope in there, but I don't know what's behind it. So I think I'm going to call it here, but I'm also probably just going to assume that it needs a timing belt, which is fine. That's cheap peace of mind. But I might as well just wait until next time, and I'll pull this motor mount and just throw a timing belt and a serpentine belt in it. All right, so I think that's where I'm going to stop this episode. I guess there's one last thing I said I was going to talk about at the intro, which I haven't really gone over yet, is what my plans are for this. So I'm definitely not going to turn into some crazy off-road K-truck like some people do, and I'm also not going to lower it and put like thin tires on it and make it look all cool. I'm going to use it as a workhorse the way it was intended. So my plan is to basically just go through it and give it a full maintenance, like do every maintenance item on it, get it to where it's going to be dead nuts reliable for the next 10 years or whatever. And then I'm just going to use it basically as a side-by-side dump hauler, like around town runner. The one thing I'm open to doing is, obviously it's hard to tell right now because it's on a jack stand, but the front springs are a little bit collapsed. They're definitely worn out. So I might raise the front up a little bit, just trying to level it. And then a lot of people run these 13-inch off-road wheels. I can't for the life of me. I think they're called foursomes from the top of my head. I don't know. I'll post it down below. But there's a tire that everyone runs on these, so I probably will do that. I have been looking for a 4x100 set of 13-inch wheels. But I don't want anything fancy. I just want steel Honda wheels, which they did make them. They're just impossible to find. So I have a few saved on Marketplace, but they're kind of outside my willingness to drive to just for the wheels. It's just when I go by, I'll pick them up, and then I'll probably run a little bit more aggressive, those all-terrain, or I guess they're technically mud terrain, but that's fine for the little minimum on-road I'm going to be doing. Also, I don't want to go too big on wheels and tires, because that completely just takes away from the point of having the granny gear in this. So that's the long-term plan for it. I hope you guys like this episode. Next time I will dig into probably just starting right ahead with the motor mounts and timing belt. I was kind of hoping that I could check it out to see if it had been done and then run it for a little bit longer, but based on how that serpentine belt looks, I don't think it has been done recently. That's fine. It's pretty easy to get to them on here. So I'll just put a new belt in it and have some peace of mind. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.